I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about effects plugins in the LV1 Classic. So the console comes with reverb, true verb, a doubler, and H delay. This is different from other versions of LV1 in the past because that software only came with 3 plugins total. The filter, the parametric EQ, and the dynamics. That was your channel strip. Waves has changed that with LV1 Classic in that this console now comes with 16 plugins, including those 2 reverbs, the delay, and the doubler that I mentioned before. So I want to talk for a minute about how we instantiate plugins in the desk and how we can maybe make some changes to those plugins. So right here, if I look at my drum verb and go to channel view, you can see that I have reverb selected as my reverb. So this is my current drum verb and it's set to reverb type plate 1. So it's just a medium dark plate. And I found that from the preset menu here. I just went to the factory presets, plates, and loaded medium dark plate. So that's kind of one of the stock reverbs that comes with the console. So let's just take a listen and see what that sounds like. So again, there's no Aux Master. We just have this fader that controls the level of the reverb. So let's listen to a lot of it so we can get a feel for what that sounds like. So that's fine. That's a great starting point for a drum verb. But let's say we wanted to change that. So we have a couple of options. We could change the preset in the plugin itself. Let's go to factory, and if we go back to plates, we could use maybe a large dark plate. Let's see what that sounds like. And you know, we have typical parameters that we can control, like room size and decay time and early reflections and EQ and that sort of thing. But we may want to try a different plugin altogether. So the easiest way to do that for this demonstration, let's just take reverb out. So basically it's no longer active, and we can add a plugin. So under plugin lists, we can go to reverb. Now the other one that's included with LV1 Classic is true verb. So let's go there, and now we can see the interface for true verb. We could, again, select a preset that sounds appealing. If we go to, let's say, drum room, this will be a much shorter reverb, much more fitting for this kind of rock and roll drum sound. Let's see what we have here. So again, it's more of a room, more of like a studio setting for a drum kit kind of thing. So again, we have a lot of parameters here that we could change. But if you own licenses for other plugins, you have access to any of those in LV1 Classic as well. So let's go back to our plugin list and reverb. Now we've got the Abbey Road collection. We've got the Chris Lord Algae plugins. We've got reverb. We've got a lot of options at our disposal. So let's go to H reverb, and it's going to load. And now under here, we have a bunch of presets that are really good starting points for a reverb. So this ambience preset is sort of a model of the old like SPX 90 Yamaha kind of drum snare plate reverb. So let's see what that does for us. So again, there's a lot of ways to get different colors, different kinds of effects, different kinds of maybe high frequency sparkle or darker effects, whatever you're going for. Now, this particular plugin, H reverb, if you expand, you can see all of the parameters that you can control. So you've got all kinds of EQ and dampening things that you can control. Reverb time is obviously good. You've got pre-delay here. You've got early reflections, the dry wet knob, output, all kinds of input and output echoes and dynamics. Like, it's a really expansive tool that is a really great plugin to dig into. So again, the point is that within LV1 Classic, you've got stock plugins that come with the console, and then you've got access to any number of other plugins, 160 plus other plugins in the Waves library that you can use as part of LV1 Classic and how you build your mix. So that covers our reverb. We've also got delay. So H delay is the plugin that comes with the console. This is my favorite basic delay plugin. It's really flexible, and you can attain great results with it. And again, a lot of controls that you can manipulate on the front panel, but then you've also got a lot of presets to choose from really kind of basic, mono delay to a stereo delay to all kinds of weird effects that you can use to great effect. So another thing to point out is, you can have multiple plugins in these racks. And so in this case, this might be an interesting way to stack reverbs. If I wanted H reverb and true verb at the same time, doing two different things, but on one fader, we could maybe do that. Use the wet dry knob to control the level of each one in the sound that's coming through that effect. Or we may want to have an EQ that's happening before our reverb. So we could just go to our plugin list, go to EQ, and let's just do our emo filter. So we want, since it's a stereo channel, we want to link the left and right. And then for our, maybe we want a high pass up to 100 hertz or so, and then maybe even low pass. So we have a more focused EQ for what's going to our effect. Or we may want to put the EQ after the reverb. In order to do that, if we want them to swap places in the rack, we can just take H reverb and drag it on top, and now they flip-flop places in the rack. So the processing order changes very simply. We want the EQ first, we do that. Want the reverb first, we do that, no problem. And then if we decide we don't want to use something, we can just, if we want to remove the plugin, we just drag it off the rack and it's gone. So again, working with effects is a great feature of LV1 Classic. I'm so glad they added effects into the internal software, because it gives us another layer of flexibility that's built into the desk. If you have plugins that you have licenses for beyond the included reverbs, again, you can use those to your heart's content. But let's move on. Our next video is all about personal monitoring.